you just know, bro. It's
Nerf,
like if
Nerf
you've ever
DH,
tried to play a caster and you're trying to cast on a demon hunter, you just know it feels terrible. Like that never feels good.
Let's go have a little look at the second part of this video that we watched before. I'm up here, back in my spot. So we watched the first part of the discussion of this, and it was hilarious, and I enjoyed it a lot. And people seem to enjoy it quite a bit too on YouTube. So I think what we'll do is we'll dive back into this, take a little gander at what's going on with PvP and whether it's dead or not. Which the ultimate conclusion that I have about WoW PvP before I go into the video is that it is of course not dead, and the people who are working on it at Blizzard are absolutely still passionate about PvP. They care about PvP. They want PvP to succeed, and I feel like they've got like some fresh peeps in there who are working on stuff and trying to make it cool. And it's a continuous thing with a game that's as old as WoW, is how do you get new people involved, and how do you keep the people who have been involved for so long to continue to be excited about it. And new content is great. I think most of what we talked about last time was various barriers to entry, or barriers to just, even if it's not an entry point, it's just barriers to getting access to it if queues are really long or hard to find people to play with sometimes. And then of course, like I said, barriers to entry were things like add-ons, game knowledge, weak auras, things like that. I imagine we'll sort of pick up where we left off with that, and perhaps hear some of the things that were potentially problematic for the continued health and success of WoW PvP. I guess that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, it's certainly not dead, but I mean the game's been out for a long time, so it's not as popular as it was. But WoW was like peak WoW was like peak Fortnite, right? It was like, except maybe even better, because it was like the only thing. It was a combination of like the best game, a format of game that people had not really seen on a large scale before. Like WoW was a lot of people's first MMO, and that style of game was crazy. And you're interacting with other people, and it was like one of the only ways to interact before social media. So it had a lot of things going for it, and it's not that anymore. But I think WoW PvP continues to be an absolute blast, and I'm excited about the future of it, even if it's not the only thing around these days. But let's have a look. We can keep talking to it. You literally just finished watching this react video on YouTube. Jump on screen to watch it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see what's going on. We had a lot of fun with the first one, so let's dive right in, shall we?
Where's the skill cap video?
That's what we want to watch.
Oh, here we go.
Fine, fair, reasonable match.
Okay, all right. We've watched this. Bellular idiots. These guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't think they even play the game.
Okay, I'm not gonna, I wouldn't call them idiots, okay? I don't think that they are probably playing a whole lot of WoW PvP right now. I don't know if I'd call them idiots. Whatever. But Pika is hilarious, so that's one of the reasons I enjoyed reacting to this video so much before, because Pika's bringing the heat.
We got to see what's going on. We got a skill cap video, guys. Is
this a real graph? So that's another thing. I need to watch some videos talking about this particular graph, because if these are real numbers, that's actually really freaking cool to see that, because that's looking pretty all right. We're on an upward trend right now,
This is the real video, okay? This is what's really going on. These are the diehard WoW PvP fans. We'll see what they have to say about the game and what is going on here. Okay, we're going to take a look and see.
World of Warcraft has more players than it did in Legion. Dragonflight has offered more content than ever before, while fixing some of the biggest issues from previous expansions.
What do you guys think about item upgrading? Actually, I like a lot of the mechanics where you slowly get more powerful and you rank up. I actually like that, but I can also see where that's annoying for people, and where it sort of creates like these barriers. Like, in order to break into 2100, you have to beat people who have better gear than you, which is hard. I can see both sides. I think it's easy to just log in, you have your gear, it's as good as it's gonna get. It makes me feel good to say that on stream to people, like, yeah, just log in, it's easy, just get your conquest gear, you're good to go. But at the same time, it's like, maybe it makes me not feel like I'm progressing as much with my character, and I like that feeling.
Oh my god, you guys remember this? Oh my god.
But having like eight different like brackets to upgrade, that's kind of tough. I wonder if do you think, am I gonna be able to sit down on the bottom left this video? I think I'll do that. I think I'm gonna pop down here. Just don't mind me, and I'm just making my way across here. I think overall it's probably better to not have that kind of upgrading system, but I do like to make gains.
The locked gear behind Conquest and Arena rating. Do you guys remember that bullshit? That was insane. They made it even worse to gear a new character. That was the worst shit ever. It was unbelievable. You would no way you could catch up. It was nuts. They even got the sweating Pepe right there on the side. This is it.
Expansions.
Oh no, Pika came down. Pika, you're taking my spot, bro. Here, I'll come up here a little bit. Here, we'll just hang out with Pika up top. Pika, you don't mind if I kind of just like rest on your broad, strong shoulders, do you? Okay, cool. Thanks.
But if WoW is doing so well, why does PvP suddenly feel so dead? Of course, the player base is now fractured, more than ever.
It's true.
But you could join a solo shuffle queue right now and watch this entire video before getting a pop.
It's true.
Okay, right there, guys. That was 2 insane reasons, right? There's like 6 versions of WoW out. This guy's playing Wrath.
Whoa.
This guy is playing
Go over here.
SOD. This guy's playing Plunderstorm. And this guy on the left is playing Retail. So this is 4 different versions of the game right here we're looking at. That's probably a big deal, not including all the other ones. So, okay.
But you could join a solo shuffle queue right now and watch this entire video before getting...
Time in queue, 5 years, 11 months, 12 misdemeanors, 16 eternities, and a $13,000 fee.
Nice meme.
A pop.
I get it.
Even if you're an experienced player, Arena can feel overwhelming. We can't even imagine what it feels like to be a new player in 2024. Add-ons have become part of the metagame itself, and
dude, look at this screen. Oh my god. What is going on here? What are we even looking at? Jesus.
To be fair, I feel like you could do this dude, Pika, he keeps moving around on me. Pick a spot, Pika. Jeez Louise, man. Follow me around. I know this is your video, but my goodness. It'd be hard to I'll just park myself up here. I feel like you can find crazy UIs in any expansion, but yeah, people are using a lot of weak ores these days. That is for true.
Look how different this looked from the other screen. It's just buttons everywhere. Everything is everywhere. Like everywhere, all over the fucking place. This is why people are against add-ons. Look at the screen. It didn't used to look like this, guys. That's why. It was not like this. Now it's like this.
It's an arms race. You want information.
Damage, mobility, and micro CC than any other point in WoW's history. How did this happen? And more importantly, what can we do to fix it? This video is going to focus on Solo Shuffle, which has become the most popular PvP mode by far, but not without a few consequences. From class balance to queue times, incentives, and more, Solo Shuffle might have changed PvP forever, and some...
Look at Benruki popping off. 240k, then Pika reacting to that. Dude, look at these reacts, man. Some strong content. I guess we're getting the right idea. Just because you can find a crazy UI doesn't mean it's totally normal. Yeah, but I think they're just using it to illustrate the point that like you can have all these add-ons feeding you all this information, and so people feel like they need to do that, and so it feels like a barrier for entry, because if you're not being told the cooldown of kidney shot, you are at a disadvantage, right? If somebody else knows when, you know, all of your abilities that you could use defensively or offensively against them are available, and you don't know when they're available for them, then, you know, they're making a more informed decision, right? So it is kind of part of the deal, unfortunately. Yeah,
players are scared for the future, but we think there are a few simple solutions that...
Mom, turn that off. Turn that off. All right. Yeah, guys,
she was jamming. Okay.
Soon. All right, let's watch this.
He had to respond. He had the weak aura go off for DMCA music.
War within.
Responded to it insta. Disarmed that thing.
Design in Dragonflight.
First global.
Some of the ways PvP could be improved for the future.
All right, what do we got?
Everywhere you look, you will see one basic complaint about PvP. Arena is too overwhelming, which makes add-ons practically required.
Is this Reddit?
Oh yeah, and queue times are long, but more on that later. Anyway, let's be honest, Arena does feel hard these days, and it's hard to pinpoint
People are good.
But
people are good.
Add-ons have become one solution. This is what Sea-Doo's UI looked like during...
Bro, we just look at Sea-Doo's buttons. Look at what's going on. Looks like he's playing a whole different game. Look at that. Are you kidding me?
This must have been
Didn't
WAD?
we just look at what his shit looked like now? Yeah, guys, this is a lot simpler.
It's gotta be WAD.
A lot.
Feral, Af, Resto Shaman Mirror, that's gotta be Warlords of Draenor. Level 100, oh yeah, and we are. Oh yeah.
Less shit going on here, right? A lot less info being shown.
He still has,
but this was even then, this was still hard to watch. Well, maybe with nowadays, what people have been
That's
exposed
when I started doing
to in arena for so
AWC
long,
commentary.
maybe this is more watchable now because, I mean, we're more exposed to this kind of shit because, yeah, this is, I mean, like, yeah, this is nuts. So this is the old school.
I mean, it's watchable. You just got to know what's going on.
Right? No.
The only thing I don't like is having like this right on your face, but that's like you kind of can get a little tunnel vision in arena, so you actually don't have to move your eyes as far. You just see what's going on with the enemy team, and if he's trying to focus, you know, shear the lock, then he's got him right on focus for that.
No real cooldowns being tracked.
But yeah, it's the cooldown tracking besides just like kicks and
this is what
interrupts
his UI looks
or stuns.
like now. It seems like half of his screen is covered with weak auras, cooldown trackers, nameplates, and more.
You can blame Mez for all
add-ons
that.
have become infinitely more complex in the past 3 expansions.
That's how it
turning
goes.
a game that is supposed to feel alive and immersive into your grandma's Internet Explorer back in 2007.
These guys are laying on the
Solo
memes.
Shuffle
I
is just one
understand
reason
though.
why UI's got to
I
this
understand.
point. Without communication, you need a million different alerts letting you know what's going on. But we think the issue is multiple layers deep. The problem
It's pretty funny because people used to use that add-on called, people probably use it now, Gladiator Lossa. And it was like, oh my gosh, what a noob. They're using Gladiator Lossa, and now they just use all the weak auras that do the same thing. So instead of it saying Warbreaker, it says Warbreaker, like just like a giant text on your screen instead of it just like whispering it to you. Same thing though.
I mean, yeah, this
Maybe
happened
worse.
before Solo Shuffle for sure. This was happening before Solo Shuffle, right? I mean, look at this. It had to be before Solo Shuffle.
alerts letting you know what's going on. But we think the issue is multiple layers deep. The problem isn't Solo
Am I
Shuffle
cooked?
alone,
Because that
but
ain't
also
not even that
class
bad.
design, and more specifically, power
That
creep.
UI.
As WoW gets older and more
I'm probably a
complex,
little cooked.
classes get updated and start to become way more complicated every single expansion. This isn't just unique to WoW, and happens in almost every single game. PvP has seen power creep in multiple places, and mobility is the most obvious. Ever since the introduction of Demon Hunters and Legion, there's been an
Yeah.
arms race in the way characters move. This
I always feel like, oh my, like I look at the warrior changes and I'm like, oh my god, warriors are gonna be busted. We have 2 charges and heroic leap on 30 seconds? Dude, nobody's ever gonna be able to get away. We have 2 blade storms? Holy crap. We're insane. And then all of a sudden you look at what other classes get and you're like, wait, what? How did all this that I just got still mean nothing? Mages have 18 blinks. It's like, what is going on? I still can't move my character.
same expansion is when paladins would get
What is
divine
going on?
speed, and some melee would even get extended range on their attacks. Fast forward to Dragonflight, and a spec like Outlaw Rogue has Shadow Step, Grappling Hook, Sprint with 100% move speed, 3 extra yards in every attack, and even an attack that charges them to their target.
Ret Paladin is literally
almost
just
all of this
ranged.
can have its cooldown lowered just by spending combo points.
Yeah, they so badly didn't want to give Rep Paladin movement skills, they just made them ranged. They're just like, F this, dude.
In fact, mobility is so ridiculous that a simple macro can make it look like rogues are cheating. Just
All right,
watch
Peek,
this
I'm going
player
back down to
after they
left.
Shadow Step Vinruk.
Back to my spot.
Yeah.
In case
If
you
you guys missed that, oh, here it goes.
Here it is
Let's watch it again.
Watch the rogue.
kicks and then instantly hooks back, having nearly 100% uptime while landing CC.
Yeah, I mean,
Next
this,
expansion, Death Knights will be getting their own version
Yeah.
of Divine Steed, allowing them to mount in combat.
That's a
Right now,
45-second
melee is
cooldown,
winning
by the way.
race,
10
but
second
we've seen
freedom and
glimpses of
immunity.
What can happen when casters get their own power creep?
Pretty crazy.
But why should you care about character movement? As Corey
And then they
pointed
can
out,
mount
any
in
buff to
World PvP.
mobility
We're gonna be
is a
doing that
buff to
today.
The entire toolkit. It
Pretty
means
fun.
doing better damage since you have an easier time sticking on target, and this even applies to healers. You will do more healing if you have more movement. Being faster means it's easier to cross the map and even avoid CC. Obviously, moving faster is also a buff to survivability because it's harder to actually get hit.
look at this. Look at
This
this.
is
Look
Mop?
how clean the screen is. Right here. Nothing on the screen.
This is
I had a
Pandaria, huh?
in my old Peekaboo like PvP montages. I was like looking at it the other day and I was like, look at this. This was, I don't know what expansion this is in. I have the same UI. I have no add-ons showing, I guess. I was practicing for turns, but this is what the game
Wow.
looked like when you just logged in. You just played like this. And everyone thought that this was super unwatchable back in the day.
How cluttered is just what I do, where you just move the target and like player frames just in the middle? Does it make it that much more cluttered? Because I feel like
But if
part
we
of the
got
reason is
even
just you have nothing in the
close
middle of
to-
your
even
screen. That's why it looks so
remotely
like
close to
clean.
this, I feel like it would make more sense, right? Top dono, recent dono, yeah. I mean, like this is just. I have Gladius on. That was it. There's no other add-ons. It was just one thing. I think this is mob.
What
yeah.
a stream come up over Pika,
Because you
huh?
knew the other people were just as confused as you. They
that's
don't
back when he
have
was playing with
many
Jamili
add-ons
all the
on.
time.
Yeah, and now it's just insane.
Hit.
Let's see this.
If you are
That was
a
a
new
lot of
player trying
views.
to pick up a caster,
373,000 views 9 years ago?
a nightmare.
Jeez.
It will feel like you never have the chance to actually get away. Even if you manage to get a few seconds of
We don't
breathing
need to
room,
get away.
it probably won't last for long, and now you need to deal with the next power creep. Micro CC.
Stand there and tank people as a warlock.
Is this Wiz
Micro
dying?
CC is not Polymorph, Cyclone, Sap, or even Hammer of Justice. No, we're talking about something else. Micro CC is the smaller, shorter CC that is just there to add more disruption. It's not Sap, but Gouge.
Can't
It's not
relate.
the 6-second freezing trap. No, that's the CC. The Micro CC is the 3-second silence from Spider Venom.
Can't relate,
It's the
don't have
fact
any of that.
Even if a monk misses
Stormbolt.
their kick, they can still
But
ring
that's
a
an actual,
beast
like,
to
30-second
stop a
stun.
cast.
It's supposed to be
The
a real
metagame in
CC.
2024 is dictated by smaller micro disruptions in gameplay. Everyone's goal in Arena is to make sure the enemy team can't control their character.
DR
And
Shockwave.
it's gotten to the point where even a
Just
spell
'cause it's
like
DR doesn't mean
Intimidating
it's
Shout
micro
was used
CC,
as a
it's
stun
just
effect.
everything
With
DR.
Upsurge getting controlled for almost 3 seconds by a fear while getting trained,
are.
eventually leading to a
The fuck am I looking?
We are watching someone else watch someone. Yes, welcome to the current meta of content creation, brother. I've held off as long as I could. we have to gotta keep the lights on, bro. We gotta do reacts. But that's actually fun. I like watching Pika, and it's fine. It kind of involves us in the current topics of World of Warcraft. You know, we're doing it. Yeah, having like a silence on heroic throw and just missing your pummel still silencing, I didn't like that. That was too much. That was too much. I didn't like that.
What,
We were too OP at that
How is
point.
this idiot dying here? What the hell is going on here?
character. And it's gotten
Roasting
to the
his
point
bud.
where even a spell like
Oh my
Intimidating
God.
Shout was used as a stun effect, with Absterge
Oh
getting
my
control
God,
of almost
look at
It
this
was
guy,
used
man.
to
Like,
stop
how are
peels.
What's going on?
He's playing. No, it wasn't just to stun him low. He has a rogue and a boomkin on his team. They have to stop peels so they can kill something. That's not full. That's not quite true. That's not quite true. The boomkin, as soon as he comes out of the sphere, is gonna start spamming clone, and the rogue is gonna start spamming cheap shot. That's not just to stun the healer, okay?
seconds by a fear while
Come
getting
on.
trained, eventually leading to elimination from the AWC.
AP, they were fully CC'd the entire time. That's why he feared him. It wasn't just to stun the healer. Come
For the
on.
talent tree revamp, many CC spells used to share talent slots,
Come
but
on,
now
that was a good
many
fear.
of these choices are available all at once.
What was
In
insane is
Dragonflight,
did it not
micro CC
break?
is what wins games.
That was kind of
Many
insane.
This guy, man.
Did
What
Abster
the
just die
hell
in
is
the
going
fear
on
like a
here?
stun? I don't.
character. And
Let me
it's
see.
gotten to the point where even a spell like
Oh my
Intimidating
God.
Shout was used as a stun effect, with Absterge
Oh my
getting control
God,
from
look at this guy, man. Like, how
If
are
he
you-
if he didn't
what's
get
going
broken out
on?
of the
3
fear.
seconds by a fear while getting trained.
No,
Eventually-
he was lightning lassoed. That's why the fear didn't break, because he was lightning lassoed, so he couldn't tremor. That was actually insane. That was a really good play. It wasn't just to stun him. It was that's not quite accurate what the video is saying.
character.
He died in the fear.
And
No,
it's
right.
gotten to the point
Look.
where even a spell like
Oh my
Intimidating
God.
Look,
Shout
they
was
feared
used
right
as a
now.
stun effect, with
Right now.
Absterge
So they can't stop the lasso on Absterge, and his teammates are still peeled. He stopped the clone with the fear, and he stopped his peels with the fear.
getting
Look,
control
God,
from
look at this
lasso.
guy, man.
So
Like,
he's
how
feared
are
for a
you-
while
What's
though,
going on?
like 2
3
seconds,
by
and then the
fear while
lasso
getting
came out
trained,
after.
eventually leading to elimination from
That
the
was really good.
AWC. Before the talent tree
That was really good.
revamp, many CC spells used to share talent slots, but now many of these choices are available.
But the fear didn't
all
break
at
for a
once.
while.
In Dragonflight,
Yeah, it lasted
micro
2 seconds,
CC is
yeah.
what wins games. You're
Saw
never
that.
3-2-1ing your spells in a coordinated effort, but instead just denying your opponent from playing the game while you blast them with damage. This
Yeah.
has even led to a completely backwards playstyle for
Don't
some
necessarily love
classes.
that style.
Ironically, despite having one of the
He's got a
strongest
killing
crowd control
blow
spells in the
thing
game,
too. Is
mage
that
crowd
mixed scrolling
control
battle
is a
text?
completely backwards
at
playstyle
that.
for some classes.
This guy is very dead. Smiley face. That's like what I have.
Ironically, despite having one of the strongest crowd control spells in the
Nice.
game, mages don't really have any micro CC, which means spending most games blinking backwards and
I can't. Oops, I did not mean to skip
a
that
lot
far. I
triple
meant to
kill these
pause.
people,
in favor of 6
Um,
second freezing trap.
Where's this?
right? Oh my
Intimidating
God.
Shout.
I was gonna
used-
say, I like it when when I see people using like the threat plates setups that I use and stuff like that. It's funny.
as a stun effect, with
Oh
Absterge
my
getting control
God,
from
look at this guy, man. Like, how are you? What's
Now,
going
Warrior
on?
Fear breaks to anything.
plus 3
We
seconds by
don't have
a
like
fear
lock
while getting
and
trained,
lock and
eventually
freeze
leading
fear.
to elimination from the AWC.
But it did stick for like
Before
2
the
seconds. But
talent
you can
tree
play a
revamp,
talent that makes it
many
last
CC
longer, and they
spells
may
used
have.
to share talent slots, but
They may
now
have.
many of these choices are available all at once. In Dragonflight, micro CC is what wins games. You're never 3-2-1.
But no, that was a nicer setup than they were giving him credit for.
Instead, just denying your opponent from playing the game while you blast
the shaman was ready to lasso as soon as the fear broke on
Absurge
Absurge anyway, so it wasn't just the fear that would have stunned them.
Having one of the
with the
strongest
fear.
crowd control spells in the game, mages don't really have any micro CC, which means spending most games blinking backwards.
Poor mages, no micro CC Dragon's Breath.
Patch 10.1 included nerfs to the duration of almost every CC in the game.
Dude, can you imagine if they didn't nerf the CC? Oh my god, what would WoW actually look like? I'm like, maybe no one would actually play the game if they didn't even nerf the CC. Every single CC was like nerfed, right? Like that
poor
was
mages not having enough CC.
Holy shit, you would actually get CC'd for like an entire minute. That'd be ridiculous.
Which unintended.
That's the problem with old WoW expansions.
What's the quote on Dragon's Breath?
Now you actually are CC'd infinitely. You can't do anything.
Intentionally shifted the balance in favor of micro CC. What's the point in overextending for a 6-second polymorph while losing out on damage when your infinite mobility rogue could just gouge at almost 0 damage loss? We will talk about damage
rogues
in a
are
second,
busted.
but because burst DPS is so high, there isn't a need for clean setup. While losing out on damage, intentionally shifted the balance in favor of micro CC. What's the point in overextending for a 6-second polymorph while losing out on damage when your infinite mobility
you blinked in and got kicked by the healer.
0 damage loss.
And then died. Like, I mean, get owned. Like, what do you want?
What's the point in overextending for a 6-second polymorph while losing out on
you got
damage
kicked
when
by
your
the
infinite
healer.
mobility rogue could just gouge at almost 0 damage
And then got
loss.
destroyed without pressing any buttons.
But because
What do you
burst
want?
DPS is so high, there isn't a need for clean setups. As long
Poor
as you can just
mages.
prevent someone from controlling their character, it doesn't matter how sloppy you play. Micro CC is also the reason why precog exists in the. But because burst DPS is so high, there isn't a need for clean setups.
What happened
as
there?
long as you can just prevent someone from controlling their character, it doesn't
Waited
matter
out
how
the-
sloppy you play.
Wait, how did he kill him
through
through Cloak? Isn't Cloak like an immunity or just for like a second?
Controlling their character, it doesn't matter how sloppy you
Had to
play.
wait out the second for the Cloak.
is also the reason why precog exists.
They
in the
needed
first
that.
place. With mobility creep
Yeah, they
and
needed
almost
they
every
needed
class
precog.
having an interrupt, there aren't many windows to
Dude,
actually
what
cast.
a caster themed video this is. Wanted about micro CC, saying mages don't have enough CC, overextending for the polymorph, JK getting kicked by the healer and not pressing any buttons and dying. Like, I mean, brother, poor casters.
Watch me try and land a single Cyclone on a Demon Hunter who won't even use their kick. Between 2 stuns, an Incap, Glimpse, and Shadow Meld, it's not even possible to cast a single time without losing most of my HP. Because of this, most casters have the majority.
Oh god, you just know, bro. It's like if you've ever tried to play.
First of all, I don't know, man. What he should he's a healer here, okay. Like, you're not gonna be able to cut a Demon Hunter anyway, but yeah, Demon Hunter versus Rest Hunter is actually pretty tough, isn't it?
On a Demon Hunter who won't even use their kick. Between 2 stuns, an Incap, Glimpse, and Shadow Meld, it's not even possible to cast a single time without losing most of my HP. Because of this, most casters have the majority.
Oh god, you just know, bro. It's like if you've ever tried to play a caster and you're trying to cast on a Demon Hunter, you just know it feels terrible. Like that never feels good to be trying to cast on a Demon Hunter who's not CC'd. Literally takes a miracle to get it. They have to completely mess something up.
He's
not so funny.
Their kick. Between 2 stuns,
this is one guy.
Glimpse, and Shadow Meld, it's not even possible to cast a single time without losing most of my HP.
Then he
Because
backflips
most
it.
casters have the majority of their damage coming from instant cast spells. And it's no surprise that specs with the best instant cast damage are the ones who gravitate towards the S tier.
That is so funny.
The power creep of mobility and micro CC might seem where this story ends, but we're not finished yet. Weak auras has become ubiquitous in PvP starting in Shadowlands. Because during the early expansion, burst damage was at its peak. With the buff to the crit modifier, players were getting one-shot like never before. And even though crit damage would be nerfed in early Dragonflight, there was another dramatic shift in class design that had been boiling over in the background. As now, not only was burst damage high, but now every player was
burst
taking
damage as a warrior
at once.
can't relate.
This was a trend that had started in Legion.
Cannot
Class
relate.
design was moving away from single target abilities in favor
What
of damage.
expansion is
Ben's
this?
popping off on the
Look at
monk.
this, guys. Look how different the game
110?
is.
That's gotta be.
Wow,
It's Legion, right?
We're level 110.
Legion was good.
What was that? Is Ven about to triple kill these people or something?
It probably is.
Legion.
Automatically cleaved. Classes like mages were abandoning CC altogether in order to just AoE down every player.
More Ven love on the
Why
double
waste time
mage.
casting polymorph on the healer when you can just press Arcane Barrage to wipe out the whole team. Combine this with micro CC and you have a metagame based around splash damage, especially with the introduction of Evoker, whose signature ability is a mechanic borrowed directly from a raid boss. In the past, Frost DK was defined
RBG
by
is
its
just
AoE
pad.
setups, getting a huge damage spike with Pillar of Frost and then cleaving everyone down at once. But
Oh my
now, it
gosh.
feels like most classes can do the same thing. Just crank up the damage meters and toss in a few stuns, and suddenly you've learned how to PvP.
That was
So
very
far in
recently,
Dragonflight,
that right
we
there.
have a metagame defined by power creep with mobility, micro CC, and AoE damage. Classes and comps that once felt unique have converged into a single win condition, which is
What are they trying to
simply
show
do
here?
as much damage as possible, abusing a million different modifiers to inflate the damage of a single spell.
Yeah, that's
There's
that's
less
the
of a-
dang meta right there. H-Pal Turbo versus double Druid Kitty Cleave. Yeah, both of those comps, it's just nothing but that on the ladder these days. You hate to see it. You just really do. I queuing into nothing but Resto Druid Feral or Resto Druid Feral Kitty Cleave. And a good old H-Pal Turbo, man, just really dominating the ladder these
The
days.
need for precise setups and calculated play.
Unbelievable.
And more often than not, the only thing that matters is
Yeah,
how
you
much
definitely don't
damage
see
you can
either of
do and
those
how
things,
quickly you
ever.
can respond to a weak aura.
Both of
At the time
those
of
guys
writing
are
this
just
video, one of the most
being,
dominant comps on the 3v3 ladder
definitely see a
is
little
Ret
bit of
Paladin,
Ret War.
Arms Warrior, and Fist Weaver Monk.
Yeah.
Okay.
It dominates with pure.
All right, listen. Okay. This is probably the first and last time ever that Sea-Doo, Sam I Am, and Trill have played Resto Druid Turbo. This is the one clip of the first and last time they ever played this comp. And I think they were probably 2,400 MMR here.
Numbers, overwhelming healers with raw damage.
This guy knows more
Not
than
real.
other people. Well, yeah, you can tell someone who plays PvP
Not
for
real.
20 years versus someone who's
That's pretty
never
funny.
played it in their life. Do you hear the difference? We're actually seeing what's going
That was,
on
that,
in the
that was
game,
Big Moran who's doing the
what's
commentary for the
happening,
video.
why it's happened, plays
He's doing a
through
good job.
many different variations, all the variations. of the
Script is a
game.
little caster.
I mean, it's just it's,
bias,
it's
that's all
insane.
right.
It's absolutely insane.
And micro CC.
Yeah,
And that's
but
mostly how the average solo
they
shuffle
were
game
like
is played,
2,300
since many
MMR
classes simply
playing
have
that.
enough damage to kill through healing,
Oh,
especially
gosh.
during dampening. These days, balance
Double
is less
BM
about
Hunter.
mechanics and more about numbers.
That's so
How
funny.
much DPS can you do, and how little will you take? So,
The things he's saying, I don't necessarily disagree with. I just think that the examples that we're seeing here are kind of funny. There's specific stuff. But no, I think that the meta for PvP right now is absolutely just do as much damage as possible and try not to die. But the thing is, like, Warrior has been that for a long time, so I'm kind of used to that. I don't really do anything. Like, I try to save my teammates. I try to, like, stop the other team's goes with like my CC or like Bladestorm immuning like some stuff and just doing damage, but that's just what Warrior is. But maybe that's just what all the classes are. But I don't know. Some of these examples that they're using though are pretty funny because it's like a very specific situation.
how did we get
But
to
yeah.
this point in class design? In WoW, there's
Let's
been a
learn.
growing tension between class balance and class identity. In the past, everyone was defined by
Yeah.
unique mechanics.
I like
Rogues
that
had their
style.
stuns, hunters had their pets, and Frosty K's still kind of sucked. Having a
I don't know about that. I think that identity and uniqueness and having cool things that feel OP about your class is more important than balance, in my opinion. I like it when things feel a little busted and every class has its own busted thing. And so you zone into the arena and you're like, oh crap, it's this. We have to watch out for this, you know? But you also have one of those things too, right? So I like that.
unique class identity is cool and all, but it doesn't take long to realize that some mechanics are really nice to have, especially in PvP.
It's true.
Warriors
Having like
used to be
stun and
defined
having a
by Mortal
kick.
Strike, and we're one of the few classes to actually have this mechanic. But as it turns out, reducing healing in PvP is pretty damn good.
I don't think that it needs to be quite like classic. I'm also not a huge fan of classic. I don't think it needs to be like Warrior is the only class with Immortal Strike or anything like that. But I like it when like we have like cool stuff, like cool cooldowns to look out for, cool mechanics to watch out for. I think that's fun.
So good that these days almost every single melee in the game has Mortal Strike. And even
Yeah.
Warlocks have it too, but it gets
Yeah.
even more
Didn't
ridiculous.
mages have it too?
Demon Hunter have a Mortal Strike.
Naturally.
2 stuns. One of them is AoE, by the way. What more?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, an instant cast Polymorph or Cyclone. And
Yeah, well,
AoE
DH is
here,
DH
a
is
magic
busted. I
dispel
mean, like,
for
what do
some
you want,
reason,
you know?
And they basically have speed hacks. Demon Hunter is a pretty extreme example, but you get the point.
I do.
Mechanics that were once unique are now
You get the
passed
point.
around like a joint at a Snoop Dogg concert. This is known as homogenization, which
Mm-hmm.
causes classes to lose their identity over time in the sake of game balance. There's a private
Little
server
bit.
called Project Ascension where any player can use any ability.
Uh-oh.
In this game, there are
Can
no
I watch this
classes.
on stream? Am I gonna get
Obviously,
banned?
we're not at this point, but you can start to see the extreme end of homogenization. It might seem cool, but it takes away the identity of playing a unique class. The cool part about playing a rogue is being a tactician, but these days
Shout out
more
to
and more
Rectal there.
specs are becoming brawlers,
Respect.
even sub-rogues, who at one point were top
Yeah, sub-rogues becoming brawlers.
Ab targeting to kill the entire
Yeah, what do you think about that, Pika? Let me look at this.
These days,
That's a
more
cool
and more-
graph. What's going on here? So arms. Oh, right. You wouldn't want to put Arms Warrior in the Brawlers tab. This is a little bit too. Put the Fury Warriors in there. The Zug. No, Arms Warrior takes some class, takes some precision. Of course. And then the Tacticians. Yeah. They by tactician they mean they have a lot of stuns. Yeah, of course. Yeah, little setup. They can cast clone and stuff. Yeah, very.
More specs are becoming brawlers, even sub-rogues, who at one point were topping damage with Rupture, all while ab targeting to kill the entire team. Now, we don't want to go pointing fingers, but PvE and especially Mythic Plus were a big part of homogenization. Mythic Plus.
Oh, so it's PvE's fault on why the game is like this now. It's
as always
PvE's fault. That's what I just
as usual.
I'm looking at it right here. Look at this, guys. That's insane. It's all come down to AoE damage, this and that, AoE healing.
Same thing with RBGs.
Okay, yeah, that's what
classic.
Okay, so it's not even a PvP problem. It's PvE problem. That's
RBGs sometimes have like, you know, you have like fights on a node that are like, you know, 1v2, 1v1 kind of stuff, or 3v3. So there's some stuff, but RBGs usually just come down to just like, you know, AoE blasting, who does more damage, that kind of stuff. But there's some plays that you can make for sure, and higher level RBGs, I think.
That's what happened. Okay, right there.
This is by far the most popular
PvE's fault,
game mode
though.
in Season 3,
Agreed.
with almost 300,000 runs per day, compared to Solo Shuffle, which doesn't even scrape that amount per week.
Here we see that again. Gonna go over the graph again. Pika's gonna pop off the graph again.
So 300,000 keys per day, 20,000 shuffles a week. So even if we did try to skew the numbers, you know, that's okay. All right.
It is what it is, bro. It is what it is.
Almost 10 times the size of PvP. So it kind of makes sense what
what
direction Blizzard might lean to when figuring out class design. To do big pulls in Mythic Plus, you need your group to quickly dodge mechanics, all while having enough kicks and CCs to stop multiple casts in a row.
Bro, I mean, PvE
that's
is
what it
also extremely hard to watch on Twitch, too. I mean, I think PvE is really confusing to look at. Have you guys ever watched, like, Mythic Key streams or, like, these MDI races? I feel like it's extremely hard to tell what the fuck's going on.
I think watchability as being important to the game is actually, and I say this as a content creator, and I realize this is not necessarily in my favor, but I think it's very overrated. I think if the game is fun to play, and I think that's way more important for the health of the game. I think that our little sphere of people who like to watch content on Twitch and like to watch content on YouTube, I think most people who play video games or play WoW in particular don't necessarily even watch any content about it. They probably just log into it and play it. So watchability, I think, is kind of something that's worth talking about because it relates to us as people who like to do this kind of thing. But I don't know if it's actually that important for the game, and I don't know if it's like something that they need to focus on. But it's something to think about.
There's like, it's like add-on overload times 10 compared to PvP. I feel like it's crazy. Boring to watch, huh? Well, I guess we're all kind of PvP players, but
Mobility and lots of CC.
That many people play Mythic Plus that LFG doesn't reflect it?
Sounds familiar. Mythic Plus also has DPS checks every few minutes, with pressure points based around big pulls and boss timers, which means you need big burst damage in very specific moments, and on Trash, you're going to need to spam your AoE stops while pumping out as much AoE damage as possible. Okay, so lots of CC, high mobility, cleavy burst damage. Geez, this really reminds me of something else. Oh yeah, those bosses in Mythic Plus have these big one-shots. That means every class needs to have strong defensives. And if they die without using them, well, that's their healers.
It's still bugging me just a little bit. Like, we already talked about this so much, but I have to talk about it a little bit more because it's bugging me. Like, the numbers behind PvE and PvP. Like, Solo Shuffle, if it wasn't so hindered by having healers, like, how many people do you think are in queue waiting for a Solo Shuffle all day? Like, if Solo Shuffle was popping constantly, kind of like Mythic Plus is sort of popping constantly, like is the time to form and build a group for Mythic Plus as long as it is for Solo Shuffle? If we're only talking about Solo Shuffle, because I don't know, man. There's something there. I 100% agree that PvP is just not as popular as PvE. Like I get it, and that's fine. But there's just something. It's just something not quite right about that. You know, there's not quite right about that. Maybe it is the same. 2 layers for Shuffle. Yeah, I know. There's something going on that's bugging me, but I think that the point they're illustrating is that PvE is way more popular than PvP. I think that's always been like that. There's never not been that being the case. And Mythic Plus are fun. They're like, you get a group together. It's kind of a longer run though. It takes like 30 minutes to do it or more, sometimes less, I guess. But I don't know. It's like that many more keys being run Like, what's going on with that besides just the fact that there's just more people doing it? There's got to be something there. Gotta think about it. There's something there.
Fault. I wonder where I've heard this all before. We don't think it's a massive conspiracy to say PvE might have had a massive effect on class identity and class balance. Because it's no accident that the mobility and AoE damage shift we saw in Legion was a direct result of
That's it, guys. PvE ruined WoW.
True. No, I actually don't mind playing a game where PvE is a big part of it, and then you just try to PvP in that game. I think it's actually fun to make your character strong. And in my case, and what I enjoy is getting my character stronger than other people's character, and then doing PvP with that. That's just fun. And Arena is probably supposed to be an environment where like things are more in balance, and then it's just skill takes over or composition takes over or whatever. But I still like getting strong and kicking butt. And I think that's what led me to Arena initially, is I was like, how do I get stronger to just abolish people in BGs harder? And it was like, oh, you got to go do rated stuff to get purple gear. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I better do that so I can dunk on people. But yeah, I don't know. It's still part of the game that I enjoy, having a PvE part of the game that leads into like a PvP end game. Like I like New World for that. I liked, I mean, this is an example that probably pissed people off, but like Diablo Immortal was kind of an action RPG that, despite the pay to win stuff, I mean, that's just the whole point of the game, I guess. But it still is like you took a character, farmed up gear for it, and took it into PvP, and that was really fun. And there's not a lot of games that do that well. And even Diablo 4, for that matter, was kind of like that too. It was pretty fun. But yeah, I actually like having getting your character stronger, going to PvP gameplay. White Shadow, thanks for the Prime, man. Appreciate it, dude. But I think a lot of people imagine just being like, you just log in like a tournament realm. You just log in, make your character at PvP, and that's fine. But I like to make gains, like I said. I like to take them gains into the gameplay too.
That's what happened. Proves it right there.
New game mode that just happened to be released at that time, where dungeons need to be cleared as fast as possible by
but M+
pulling
was
multiple mobs at once. And now these
real
power
big
creeps
positive
have
addition to the
fully
game, I
spilled
think.
over into PvP, becoming even more amplified.
Wait, Mythic Plus got introduced
We
in
don't
Legion.
think it's a massive conspiracy.
When did
to say
Mythic Plus come out? Before Legion, was
In
there
Legion.
a WoD? So what did PvEers do all day? Had
Dungeons?
challenge mode?
Dungeons, alts, challenge modes. It was just alts,
No
right?
idea. I don't even know
Just
when
run
Mythic
alts
Plus
through
came
stuff.
out. I don't even know. Used to PvP.
M+ is absolutely Legion.
Farm mounts?
It's not mob.
Wait, so you couldn't even play the game if you
Or
were
challenge
in
modes is mob
PvEer?
though.
Holy shit! I didn't even know that.
It's alts,
PvE
yeah.
might have had a massive
It's alts.
effect on class identity and class balance. Because it's no accident that the mobility and AoE damage shift we saw in Legion was a direct result of a new game mode that just happened to be released at that time, where dungeons need to be cleared as fast as possible by pulling multiple mobs at once.
Like, you
And
still
now
wanna
these
get your
power creeps
characters
have fully
just
spilled over
stronger.
into PvP, becoming even more.
And you look at what your characters can do, right? It's like mobility, utility, damage, you know? Like, you want to kind of increase or change those things over time. So the character would probably grow across all those parameters over time. Except for like when they do prune stuff like WoD, which that was probably like one of my least favorite gameplay expansions. But yeah, I mean, Mythic Plus being sort of like one of the big types of content people like to do, it does kind of make sense that might be the overarching sort of balance thing. But yeah, I don't know. Not sure.
Amplified thanks to Solo Shuffle, a game mode where raw damage reigns supreme. The add-on problem that many people talk about wouldn't be such an issue if the game weren't so power-crept. You wouldn't need 10 different alerts letting you know the enemy team popped their Giga AoE offensive. Now, here's where things get a bit touchy. There's a lot of people who enjoy Solo Shuffle for a few good reasons. Let's face it, the WoW community is getting older and some of us have busy lives. Maybe our friends have moved on from WoW and we don't want to sit in LFG. For many players, Solo Shuffle is really the only way to participate in ranked PvP.
That's not
It's
WoW, you're not
clear that
clicking
many
left click that
players
much though,
want
are
to
you?
just press play and get immediately into the action.
Which is fun.
Other players are more pessimistic, arguing that Solo Shuffle is literally killing PvP. One thing they will say is that Solo Shuffle gameplay
Somewhere in
doesn't
between.
feel like real Arena. To
Yeah,
them, Solo
I
Shuffle
agree.
is the fast food of PvP. It's addicting and gives you what you instantly want, but maybe it's not the healthiest. And right now, it's the only thing people want to eat. There's a growing sentiment that Arena has started.
Do you guys think that's the case? How many of you guys who are PvPers would rather do Arena with your buddies than Solo Shuffle? I would. But Harrison, thanks for the 96 months, man. Big flex for you. There is a huge draw for people who like don't have the social network of people to do Arena with. You can just click Solo Shuffle, and at some point you're gonna get a queue. At some point you're gonna get in the Arena. But I strongly prefer doing Arena with buddies than than solo shuffle. But then again, if solo shuffle was like just popping all day long, I mean, it's another thing. It's just easier to do it, right? And also, it's like there is the element of like your teammates. Like if you let your teammates down in solo shuffle, you're like, who cares? F those guys. But if you like let your teammate down that you know and it's like your friend, it's kind of like a bummer. It's like, man, I'm not really on my game today. I don't even know if I should Q3s. I don't want to like, you know, bring my teammates down versus being like, F them guys in solo shuffle. That's their fault. You know, like I didn't pop parry. Yeah, what my healer should have healed me. We shouldn't have been in that situation. My teammate should have stopped the CC on the healer. Then I wouldn't have had to parry anyway. You know, like you can just kind of brush off the responsibility, right? So. But no, there's a lot of different angles to it. And I think that solo shuffle, I think it is overall probably a positive thing to have added to the game overall, but there are some times where I'm like, this was a mistake for sure. So I don't know.
To feel more like PvE. In solo shuffle, where you can't really coordinate crowd control or even damage itself, it makes sense that simply cleaving the enemy team down and stopping casts like Mythic Plus would become the emerging playstyle.
Gotta do what
but
you gotta
this
do.
has even crept into 3v3 itself, where even a comp like RMP can just win with raw numbers. But with the convenience of solo shuffle, participation in other brackets has gone down dramatically.
It's been like that forever, though.
RBGs are especially dire, with daily games sometimes being less than 200. And with the potential introduction of BG Blitz as a rated mode, well,
that's because people instead of, you know, sitting in LFG trying to form a YOLO RBG group for Conquest, they just hop in solo shuffle queue. It's easier. It's less of a barrier to entry, because like you can't like have somebody turn you down from the solo shuffle. It's like, no, you're like, once you have the eye level to just queue up for it, it's not like people would be like, nah, I don't really want to bring, you know, a 0 XP Fury Warrior into my RBG group. But solo shuffle's like, hey, you're in, bro, get in there. You know, so the solo RBGs I think will be really good for the game. I think a lot of people aren't as interested in arena as they are interested in just queuing up BGs, and the BG mode is actually like, arena in solo shuffle is different because you start off in dampening, but the BGs are like fast. Have you guys played the blitz? Like you run really fast on your mount. There's power reps everywhere. There's less people. The games are like the maps are smaller. It's gonna be like a whole different ball game, even more different than arena is than the solo shuffle. You know what I mean? It'll be fun. I think it'll succeed, but it probably will kill the RBG bracket. So people have been asking like if my interpretation is there won't be RBG pre-made groups anymore. That wasn't my interpretation, but I mean like they may as well, maybe, I don't know. That'd be weird if they just like don't have RBGs at all and all there is the BG Blitz. That would be odd, I think, but it may kill the bracket anyway, so they might just be doing it.
RBG participation could become entirely extinct in the future. Currently, arena rewards and other brackets are becoming harder and harder to get. Since participation is a big factor in MMR, less people playing means less rating inflation, and less inflation means a confusing sense of progression from season to season. Venruki recently tweeted that
Damn, yeah, I mean, this is... How do they stop all this? Is there even a way to go back? Can we even go back?
We're waiting on that in this video.
Like possible. Like
I think going back is not the strat. I think that you can learn from what was successful and build on it, but I don't think going backwards is good. This is interesting because League of Legends does something very different, right? I don't know if you guys play League of Legends, but like Emerald now is like silver back in the day. So people, they just sort of inflate MMR over time, so people think that they've gotten better. Even if they're not better, it's just they just get put in a higher bracket anyway. That's kind of tough when you start off at or like, you know, you feel like it's hard to push like 2200 in the beginning of the season when you were, you know, like 2800 last season. It's kind of tough. But yeah, what do you do? And what would I do going forward? I'll watch the end of this video and I'll see what they think and we'll respond to that as well. But yeah, I don't know. It is tricky. It is tricky because there are some things that I like that isn't necessarily like the best thing for the game in general, right? So
guys, I think solo shuffle was
playing
good
DK
for the game. I think it was. They just didn't do the MMR right.
As someone who hit Emerald very easily this season, you're offended? Well, if you hit it easily, I mean, like what were you ranked a while ago, right? Emerald's the new gold, right? So people who are silver may be able to get Emerald because they would have just gotten gold. But anyway, I don't play a lot of League, but that's a situation that I've heard described by the people that I watch play League. But maybe they're just kind of like, you know, talking smack.
For the healers, they need to make the healers the high prio.
They do.
They got to flip that. The DPS should be the people suffering, I think, because there's clearly infinite more DPS. I'm not sure how they can ever try to even replace or stop any of this. But this tweet right here from Ben, he's like, my alt R shaman peaked in season 1 at 2700. and he's been playing R Shaman all this time, right? Now that he's a lot better at Shaman, he's stuck at 22 to 2300. Well, he's at 2100 now when he was 600 rating higher than last season, even though he's better now than he was before. So it just fries people playing like that. He incentivizes PvP. I think they just have to make if we're all going to play oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, PvEers had to do some shit to get some gear. Yeah, that is pretty tough. I don't know if they could
absolutely make PvEers PvP against their will. Absolutely. Just let them whine and complain and rage like they did with freaking Plunderstorm. Oh my gosh. Make them do it, dude. Make them do it. Because it's actually pretty fun. And, you know, there are some PvEers who got relatively decent rating, but yes, make the PvEers do at least a little bit of PvP. Yeah, it really pumps up the whole bracket, makes PvP a little bit more vibrant and whatnot. Because a lot of PvPers, we have to go do PvE every now and again for like legendaries or like trinkets, or not trinkets now, but you know what I mean. Yes, make them do it. Do it, indeed.
They just fix solo shuffle and make it pop. So they would have to just give healers like crazy MMR and none of these nonsense lobbies of losing rating, losing MMR. Like, I don't think people really care if their healers are subpar in shuffle. They just want to actually play the game. The rating system and having static rewards tied to moving goalposts is a huge...
How do you guys feel about that? Worse game quality for faster queues? Is that worth? You really want me coming in PvP? Well, you might not be in my PvP, but you'll be in the PvP community, which will, you know, trickle up, right? I don't know. Yeah, if your healer's bad, I don't know, bro. It is rough sometimes. But you just gotta send it, I guess, huh? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like sometimes you sit in that 30-minute queue, just like, I don't know, man. Just give me the 1800 rated healer, bro. Just give them to me. Shep, thank you so much, man. Big flex for you. Appreciate it, man. Just give me the 1800 rated healer, bro.
Huge issue. There was crazy. We always what I can really take away is that Bellular, those guys are confused. They are heavily lost. Oh my god.
Shaman is 600
get one more dig in there.
Lower than it was in season 1, despite the fact that he feels better playing the spec. This confusing sense of progression kills motivation
I feel like
for many players and keeps them
sometimes
more attached to a single
don't
bracket.
have the full picture.
So
it's all good.
How can we get people to play other brackets more without completely making solo shuffle obsolete? Surely there has got to be a system that encourages people to participate in PvP while also attracting new players. If there's one thing players love more than standing around Elwyn, it's looking cool while doing it. I mean, that's why we play the game, right?
I hate Plunderstorm. How dare they make me do this?
And apparently, some people are willing to play Fortnite WoW Edition just to get a pirate transmog. A trading post
super fun.
system specific to PvP seems like an obvious way to motivate participation in other brackets. Imagine a log that sent you to win 2v2, 3v3, or RBGs, resetting every month with new rewards. These rewards could be anything, like black market auction house containers. They could even be old elite sets, but probably reskinned. Healers could even get their own unique rewards, like bonus black market containers.
That's another thing that we can talk about, is whether you guys think that the Panda event should give just the legit super rare or like hard to get prestigious transmogs and mounts that you could get back in MOP. There ain't no way they should just give you the exact same one. It's got to be at least reskinned. Ain't no way you should just be able to go back and get the exact same thing, in my opinion.
Containers. Or a discount code for therapy. And a 2-week vacation to get away from every demon hunter. Anything that gets more healers participating means
what you have to do. You have to get healers queuing up
for everyone else. The goal is
to
make sure players can enjoy everything WoW
has to offer
by offering incentives to play multiple brackets. As long as new players have a motivating reason to engage in PvP,
just come on over, guys.
We can make sure everyone is trying every bracket.
Bro, could you imagine if this would have looked like? Holy
never gonna look like that. Yeah,
it's never gonna look like that. Naturally be in a better place. With more players, there could be a greater incentive to rethink class design. We have to admit that Mythic Plus isn't going anywhere, and designers will probably prioritize it over PvP for the time being. But maybe there's a solution here too. Even though the talent trees were meant to be evergreen systems, maybe it's time for PvP and PvE to finally have completely different talent trees. Some classes need dramatic reworks in PvP. Frost Mage is just one example. It's suffering from button bloat, with not one, not two, but 3 different and easy to counter burst spells. To fix this, the entire spec would need to be rebuilt from the ground up in PvP. But instead of class tuning these days, it's more about adjusting PvP modifiers up and down. The entire philosophy behind the original PvP talent system was to make sure classes could get major reworks without affecting PvE balance and vice versa. The issues we discussed today are...
Dude, like, this sounds so unrealistic. I mean, how are they gonna remake the whole spec? Like, how is that even possible? How could they? What are they gonna redo this on like every class and how could that even happen? Especially on a new expansion. I don't even know like how. Being another thinking human is way harder than a scripted fight. People just want to see you go to bed. People always get side. I think we have PvP. There's a lot of things with PvP about that, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of these things are
expansion. Okay.
Hassle, but Solo Shuffle really shook a lot of the stuff up too, because you find a lot of random shit and play a lot of random things. I swear, if they just made Solo Shuffle playable, people would be much happier. They would be much happier if you didn't have to wait an hour or 2 hours to play the game.
It's true.
Then a lot of this stuff you can just brush under the rug. Because you can play. But there's nothing worse than sitting there for 45 minutes and then someone leaves and then you just can't even play the game. Or you have a bad game. Yeah. And it's like, dude, no one has time for that shit. So then maybe they just got to go the route of making healers just gain infinite rating in Solo Shuffle. That's what it is. And then everyone will have to deal with like people trying to play healer and maybe the best healers, and that kind of makes the game quality a bit lower, but it's still just like, yeah, that's already how it is anyway. So
What if they made healer MMR just a grind? There was no like, you can't really like lose rating. It's just who can play the most games. I don't think that's healthy or good. But what if the healer was just like a reward path that you just went through, like a battle pass, and your rating was just literally a healer battle pass, and you just kept unlocking stuff, and then there was something at the end where you could continue to just farm a box that just gave you a random mount in the game, including invincible, including like, you know, like I was talking with Mists of Pandaria, like including like whatever storm dragons. Like, what if, you know, it was a box and it just contained an item that you could get on the black market auction house or something like that, right? And you just continue to unlock just everything in the game. Why not, right? Why not just increase match rewards for healers? Because that's what I'm saying. It is increase match rewards. Healers don't care about more honor or more conquest or whatever, right? That's not gonna be good. And no, you don't need to have a game where it's just you just get matched up 3v3 and that's the only thing you do. I disagree with that too. No, it should be a lobby. I think Solo Shuffle is good. You just need to have incentives for healers. Just give them a box from the black market auction house. Just once they unlock, like a, you know, they just continue to farm that very last bit of the healer battle pass.
It's like, who even knows?
Just get them queuing up, man.
With not one, not two, but three.
The wait time in Shuffle is because there's not enough healers.
That wouldn't have anything to do with rating. It would just be like a battle pass.
The main reason healers don't play the game is because of how bad the MMR system is and rating gain is for healers. So yeah, basically, like if you try to play a healer,
you could get healer bots from that kind of stuff.
Like, you just get trolled on healer or levers. It like you should, the way that MMR works, it's super terrible for healers. Like healers should like always be able to gain rating and gain MMR almost. It should be very hard to lose as a healer. That's
how like 10,000 rated healers.
And then like what healers suffer from right now in Solo Shuffle, DPS players should be dealing with, because there's infinite DPS players. It's insane. The rampant botting, yeah, that's a big problem too. Every game has a ton of cheaters too. It's nuts.
I don't feel like I ran into too much botting, but I guess I've really been playing as much Solo Shuffle.
MMR is insane, right? Like every healer is complaining about it. That's why a lot of them don't play it.
Makes me think it would be bad. Well, because like you just get matched up with like a trash comp, and then you don't have any way to like redeem yourself. And waiting a long time for one single game would be bad. Do you think it would actually be faster? Again, it's the discussion of game quality versus queue time. If it made the queue time 10 minutes shorter, but you only got to play one game and you got matched up with a trash comp or a bad healer, and the other team had a good comp and good healer, and you just lose, it's like, well, that sucked. I didn't even get to have my chance to not play double arms warrior disc priest, right? I could have at least had that other healer with the other DPS, other 2 DPS to try to, you know, redeem myself to see if I'm the better warrior, you know, whatever, right? But instead you get one game of double arms warrior disc priest, and it's just like, well, I guess that's that, you know? I disagree that it should be one game.
Because they can't, it's just stupid. Like, I mean, 1800 on disc priest, played 5 games, 3 matches a person left. Yes, it's nuts.
Different and easy to counter burst spells. To fix this, the entire spec would need to be rebuilt from the ground up in PvP.
But yeah, I don't know how they can rebuild every spec.
It's more about adjusting PvP modifiers up and down.
Yeah,
the entire
no way.
philosophy behind the original PvP talent system was to make sure classes could get major reworks without affecting PvE balance and vice versa.
3 honor talents isn't a major thing though, right?
One of many affecting PvPers.
They tried templates in Legion.
There you go, Cat.
And the fact
I would say templates in Legion was another one of those things that was like the most uninteresting way of making your character stronger. You couldn't even like change your gear around. Right now you have access to all the gear like eventually, and you can like try different stat values, and I like that, but you couldn't even do that in Legion. I didn't like that at all.
That there are potentially...
How has Blizzard not done anything about it? I don't know. I don't know how Blizzard has not done shit about Shuffle. I thought Shuffle was sick. I have a lot of fun playing Shuffle, but yeah, the main problem with it is literally the queue time. I literally think all these issues, anything anyone's complaining about or crying about, it's done if you can just play. No one cares. Like,
make
people
healers
can make new classes, make new specs,
play the game.
and Shuffle is so good for that. Shuffle's even better because of the class balance mattering less, because you're playing all these bad comps, all these random comps, all this random shit, and everyone is forced to play with
There's definitely a lot of upside
so
for
that's
Shuffle.
even better.
Way too many arena maps these days, with many weird balancing issues. When players were discussing a solo game mode 3 years ago, the intention was to make sure there was a way to instantly queue and get into the action. But since solo shuffle lasts 6 rounds, there is a slow churn of players caused by congestion, which is why queue times can last so long for DPS.
4 hours in queue, bro.
Since you're just waiting for someone else's 6 rounds to end.
Damn, should they just make it like 3 rounds? I don't even know what they should do. 2 rounds, 4 rounds?
I think the format is probably as good as it can get, really, because you can get mega unlucky and get like a bunch of games in a row where you have a bad comp or whatever. But with the full lobby system, you can at least like play it out, right, and see how it goes. I'd take a BMAH box every game. No, it wouldn't be every game. You'd have to like earn, like, you know how like you have your rep rewards along the way, and then you have like the prestige rep reward. I would suggest it's like that. But no, I don't think that the 6-game like 6-person lobby format is bad. It's just you got to make healers queue up. You got to make them want to play.
Rounds, like what? Maybe play what? You think 1 round? Man, I wouldn't even mind 1 round. You know what I'm saying? Like queue like an actual game. I don't know.
Bloat is its own issue, and many players think that rotations are becoming too complicated. We know that PvP combat can feel engaging even with 7 abilities, but you don't even have to take things that far. Between Arena 1, 2, 3 macros, talent swaps, and more, it's common to have over 40 keybinds in PvP, which is quite daunting as a new player. Even though players fought back pruning during Warlords of Draenor, a bunch of new hero talents on the way could mean
it had to be done,
WoW
I
is getting
suppose.
even more complicated, and could benefit from a return to more simplicity. Arena is already complicated enough, and if we want to attract new players to PvP, it shouldn't feel like you need an Adderall prescription and an encyclopedia just to play. It's always been our goal at SkillCap to make...
Damn.
Okay, are we just into the hashtag ad part? I don't know, bro. I don't know. I want to hear what Pika says, but I don't want to have this all on the screen right now. What do you think, Pika?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Can they make the game simpler? Is that possible? Guys, that was that. That was a reaction to SkillCap's thing. We watched the Asm reaction to Bellular. That was insane. Good video, guys. That was that. Is that possible?
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I think a more simple game is more boring, for sure. We had the chance to play Wrath. People can play Wrath Arena right now if they want to, and they're not choosing that option, mostly. People are choosing to play SOD, but I don't think the main draw to SOD is like the PvP, right? People like making 1 million alts and rating and stuff, right? Make solo shuffle 2v2 only DPS, everyone's happy. I wouldn't be happy as a warrior. No, I don't think so. Maybe rep paladins and feral druids, things that can like off heal and kite would be happy. Rogues maybe because they can set up CC. I don't think I'd be happy as a warrior. Double DPS. I'd rather play 3s where I can sort of put my utility to use. I think that WoD was like one of my least favorite expansions in terms of like PvP. I didn't like how simple things were. Like, can you imagine? Like I played TBC recently. I played Wrath recently. It only just gets better as you go. Running TBC, running around pressing Mortal Strike, Whirlwind, Hamstring, and just auto attacking people. No, that's terrible. You're just hoping for a mace stun. Like, that's terrible. But I think that the game, like having, you know, cool buttons to press, even if it's a lot going on. Again, I think I've said this before. The main thing is it just needs to be something that people like to do. It just needs to be cool. And then they'll be willing to learn the game and figure things out. And the add-ons part, if they wanted to do away with add-ons, sure. But I mean, like, part of it, again, is just like, you don't need all those add-ons right off the bat. I mean, once you're getting to the point where you even, you know, understand how to respond to cooldowns, and you're like, man, it would be nice to know when this ability is available to the enemy. Or it'd be nice to have a little bit more a heads up when people are using this. Like if somebody's popping a cooldown behind me, right? And I'm like, oh snap, they just popped Icy Veins. Like that's good to know too. But like you don't need to know that immediately, right? But yeah, if they want to do it with add-ons, sure. And I think that the argument against what I'm saying about like simplicity is like Plunderstorm, right? You can actually have pretty dang fun PvP with Plunderstorm, and it's a blast to play. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. However, I mean, how many people are playing Plunderstorm right now? What you need now is like, okay, that was a really cool run. Now we need more abilities. Now we need more stuff. Now we need different stuff. So if something is like super simple, I feel like it can sort of run its course a little bit more quickly. But there are games like Battle Right where it's still like the character has like, you know, its basic setup, right? And you just are in an arena like a 2v2 and that plays itself out and it's cool. But again, Battle Right is also a game that is not like a thing anymore. So I don't know. I don't know if just like super simplification is actually better, even though we can see that there's some complexity going on. And it seems like a lot sometimes, right? It is tricky. There's a leveling process, needs to be a mage tower, like every event that stops them every 10 levels or so, and then they have to learn to use their abilities to beat the tower before they can progress. Yeah, maybe. I think making new players do that kind of stuff, maybe not so much, but yeah. It's a BR, I'm here to play an MMO. Yeah, an MMO's got lots of buttons, lots of stuff to figure out. But yeah, incentivizing healers strongly with like special rewards at the end of like a battle pass, like, you know, maybe you would as a healer unlock, you would like go through and you'd get like conquest, or like, you know, you would get more stuff than other people, you know, and that's just kind of part of being a healer. You're stronger than other people. You have more gear earlier in the season than other people, you know, that's just how it is. But it would only happen to healers. But even that would affect your ability to push threes, is if you're in there grinding out your gear and you go through the solo shuffle battle pass, like you have advantages over people. I think incentivizing it with just conquest alone or honor is just not enough. Like in season, like they just don't care. Like it's just not enough. But then at the end of that battle pass or whatever, you get just a black market auction house box every time you kind of like prestige your thing. That'd be cool. Healers get geared earlier than they stop playing earlier, unless they have something like a black market auction house box to chase or something like that, right? I'm just thinking, what would it be like throughout the course of time? Like during the battle pass idea, right? Forcing people to play BGs to play solo shuffle or twos turns a lot of people off. What do you mean by that? Like to get gear to the point where you can queue solo shuffle? Is that what you mean? Is there a battle pass in WoW now? Well, the idea that I have is do something like that for healers specifically in solo shuffle to get people to get them to queue up. There is a battle pass. It's just called like the Trader's Tender, the whatever it's called. But that is already in the game. You just like do quests and you get stuff and you can go buy transmog from the little vendor. Healing got boring with unavoidable CC. Yeah, that's the part of the deal, is like as a warrior, like you're gonna get kited sometimes, right? You're gonna get CC'd sometimes. Other people get to play the game too. And that's just kind of part of the deal. But yeah, it's annoying to be CC'd, but they talked about the micro CC in this too. A battle pass? No, it's not something that you could pay to progress like a normal battle pass. I'm just saying like just a rewards tier, like how you have like your honor level. You just but as a healer, it's something specific to solo shuffle where you progress your rewards tier as a healer in solo shuffle, giving you rewards along the way, ultimately being something that you earn like a black market auction house box for. And then if you continue to play enough, you will be able to continue to earn enough rep to re-earn that same reward over and over. That's just my idea. But yeah, that's a cool video. Good job, Pika. I enjoyed that. That is a subject of discussion that I'm interested in. As someone who's played WoW PvP for a long time and focuses on it as like my main thing that I like to do in the game, I definitely like to hear different perspectives, because I realize that my perspective isn't the only perspective. So it's kind of neat to hear that. That's cool though. That's cool.